The way in which we manage and improve our business processes is, of course, a process, a cross-functional process that must deliver value to its stakeholders. It's a process that can be documented, modelled, measured and managed and improved just like every other process. It not only can be managed like other processes, but it must be if our evangelization of process-based management is to have any credibility. We can't be telling others to mind their processes if we're failing to heed our own advice. Process practitioner, fix your own processes. Let's explore that a little more. What if the most efficient and effective process in your organisation was the process by which you manage and improve your own processes? What if the thing your organisation was best at was improving the performance of its own processes? What if? When I'm helping clients put together a process architecture, we start with a reference model that I've built up over many years and many projects, and there's a management process, a shared management process in there. You can see it highlighted. It's called Improve Process Performance, and it does what it says on the tin. It's about improving process performance, and you can see the sub-processes highlighted there below it. We maintain a framework about how we do process-based management, and then there's some activity about process management, some activity about process improvement. We talk about how we document processes, the processes of documentation, and then of course how we do process improvement projects or PIPs. So here's the first clue, isn't it? If we're going to work on and improve our process of process management, then we've got to treat it like a process. So we've got to name it, we've got to define it, we've got to show what its sub-processes are, and we'll actively manage it. And it's not just that we want to have that process named, and we've got maybe some nice diagrams, but it needs to be, if not the best, then one of the best we've got. If this is being managed by the people in the Office of BPM or the Centre of Excellence, the same people who are evangelising process management and improvement, it would be reasonable to expect that they had some pretty well managed and nicely improved processes of their own. So we have to do that, don't we? The process practitioners need to show what the gold standard should look like. That's important to keep in mind. But how are we going to do that? How do we make sure that not only is the process working well and it's continuously improved and everybody knows about it? Well, we've been here before, haven't we? It's the same answer as the advice we give everyone else about all their processes. What have we got to do? Well, we have to appoint a process owner. We need to maintain the process management record, that is, the body of knowledge about the process. There's another video about process management record if you haven't seen it already. For this particular process, we need to define process KPIs and targets, of course, and then we need to collect the data and analyse the data and maybe run process improvement projects on process improvement. We need to do all of this sorts of things if we're going to have a well-performing process and we're going to maintain credibility. So we need to get the circles turning. Another video about that, about the Tregear circles. If you haven't seen it, have a look so you can get some understanding of what that phrase means. But we need to be actively managing all of these aspects of the process of process improvement. And how will we know whether it's working well? Well, again, same advice as we've given everyone else. It needs process KPIs, and we need to think them through very carefully. We need to define the KPIs and then go on and get some pretty good targets as well. So these are just some examples. You may or may not use these. You're welcome to if they're useful for you. But just a number of processes in the organisation under active management, that would give you a nice sense of what's happening. Not by itself, but none of these things work by themselves as a rule. What is the increase of BPM maturity? Now that can be relatively easily measured and on a repeatable basis, perhaps annually. How many processes are achieving their targets? That would be nice to know. How many process improvement projects are completed without the direct involvement of the Office of BPM or the Centre of Excellence, whatever it's called? How many process improvement projects are just run out there in the business? And run well, of course, and run successfully, because we don't want to have every process improvement project requiring someone from the central group to be involved, because that's just a bottleneck. Find the video on the Office for the Prevention of Process Improvement. And how many process improvements are actually delivered, not just recommended? That would be a nice ratio to have, wouldn't it? And do people think it's useful, you know? Are we seen as a problem or a solution? That's going to be important in the longer term. So everything we're saying here then about the process of process improvement, I call it improved process performance. Everything we're saying about that process is that we just need to manage it the way in which we recommend every other process that requires active management is done. And that's important because we need to, it's an important process, so it needs to work well, but it also then would give us the sort of credibility we have to spread the message. So here's the question to wrap up with. What if? What if your most efficient and effective process was the process of process management and improvement? What impact do you think that would have on your organisation? I think it would be profound, don't you? Thanks for joining me for this Process Insight. I hope you found it useful. If so, you might like to subscribe so you'll see a new video each week. Plenty more information about me and my ideas about process-based management below and at my website. If you'd like to improve your process of process management, you should check out my Reimagine project. You'll find a link to the project description below. You have my contact details. I'd be delighted to connect. Thanks for sharing this time with me. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I'd love to hear from you.